You know what changes? Everything. Times change. Technology changes. People change. Sometimes it seems overnight. You can resist it. You can adapt to it. But you can't ignore it. Our thinking is to lead it by changing the way we work, changing the way expectations are met, leading clients and the practice of law forward. You know what that changes? Everything.
Hi, and welcome to Take 5 with Top 50 CEOs. This is the video interview series where we speak to our Top 50 CEO Award winners, asking them just 5 questions in an effort to find out the secrets to their success and what makes them tick. I'm Dawn Chafe. I am the co-owner and executive editor of Atlantic Business Magazine. Today, I am joined by Vivek Sood. Vivek is the executive vice president of Sobeys Related Businesses, which means he's responsible for 6,800 employees, over 7 different business units, 2 of which, and this is just 2, are Lawtons and Needs. And the way he delivers on those responsibilities, while also making time to volunteer in the community, are just some of the reasons why he was named Atlantic Business Magazine's 2020 CEO of the Year for the entire Atlantic region. Vivek, thank you so much for joining me here today.
And obviously, it was a challenge. I mean, early on in this pandemic, we didn't know what we were facing. We didn't know how fast it would move. And our employees were heroes and continue to be. They experienced very heavy demand early on. There were protocols that we had to move quickly on. So with respect to store cleanliness, we were installing plexiglass. We were trying to get trucks to their stores. We were trying to get shelves stocked, to your point. And we just, we really had to build that communication. Things were changing so quickly. We had to have ongoing focused communication with the stores. And honestly, the way the stores executed on those standard operating procedures that we were introducing was unbelievable. The way they took care of their customers, unbelievable. And I'd like to think we always put our retail and frontline workers first, but this really made it actually absolutely mandatory. And I hope and I truly believe that they felt that we cared about their safety first and foremost. We cared about customer safety as well. And that was really the principle. No matter what decision we were making, the customer and the teammate and the front line had to come first. And I think our team felt that and saw that and appreciated that. So I think the support that our frontline workers felt, I think the fact that we had to liberate them from the normal communications and overwhelming them with all these different initiatives, that had to stop. And I think they really benefited from that. And what we learned, and hopefully what they see, is that now we really have to focus on what's truly important and get that done in an effective and efficient way. And early on, things are moving so fast. There was so much we didn't know. And I've got to hand it to our team. We realized that we didn't have the answers. And we searched for international best practice. We knew countries like Italy and China and other European and Asian nations had gone through this. And we, from day one, made a strong effort to learn from them. We had calls almost every day to learn what we could do. And that resulted in real action, real fast. We were the first retailer in this country to put plexiglass in their stores. And let me tell you, people that own plexiglass businesses, they were happy, right? Because they were seeing a downturn in their business. And when the retailers started installing plexi, it really helped their businesses. But that's not why we did it. We did it for the safety of our employees and our customers. Our cleaning protocols, we quickly put those in place based on the learnings we had. Social distancing, quickly put those stickers on the floor and put the signage up in our locations. And then we continue to evolve, introducing technology solutions like virtual queuing and those kinds of things. So I think the fact that we could move fast, clearly knew we didn't know everything and things were changing, and be ready and able to make changes on the go, again, wouldn't have happened without the exceptional work in stores and by our store frontline employees. And things will stick. You know, I look at virtual queuing, for example. As we'll always do flu vaccinations and other health services, now we will have appointment schedulers and things like that that help make it a better experience for our customers and, quite frankly, our frontline teammates. So there are a lot of learnings. I think the cleanliness protocols will continue to be in place. I think the use of plexi will still stay in place in certain ways. The other thing I just want to mention is we set principles up front. And whenever we had a difficult decision, we went back to the principle. And that helped us have clarity on what we should do. And I think that practice, to me, is something I'll continue to do every time we have a key initiative. So there were a lot of learnings, even the way we conduct business, let alone the physical benefits or initiatives that we put in place. There's a misconception that innovation is just implementation of technology. Innovation is learning to do things better, to improve a customer experience or employee experience, or generally make life a little bit better. And when I look at what we do in our business, which are not probably the exciting ones, we're not a Google, we're not a Microsoft. If I look at the C-store business, for example, or Lawton's business, we're doing some pretty exciting things. And for example, if you look at our C-store business and gas stations, we've introduced a fresh food offering. So basically high-end sandwiches, salads, gluten-free, those kinds of things. Not the 3-week-old hot dog and the plastic wrap sandwich. And some people enjoy those products and they will be available. But we're trying to be innovative with ready to eat meals. If you need to drop by a C-store on your way home and pick up dinner, you actually can do that. We have a Safe Trade program in Quebec, and we've introduced a Pete's Fine Foods food program here in Halifax, and we're continuing to expand it to all of our provinces, all our locations. If I look at pharmacy, the type of healthcare you can get in a pharmacy today is so different than what it would have been 10 years ago, where you just went for a prescription. You get great counseling on health conditions. You can get your flu vaccination. You can get, I think in the future, you'll be able to get a COVID vaccination. We're working hard on that one. And I got to say, the provinces have been great partners in figuring out how we will together get the vaccinations to Canadians. And so there's a lot of innovation that happens that way. Now, technology, of course, we do have self-checkout. It's a great comment you made. One thing we always have to do is match perception to reality. So while people feel they may be taking a role from a cashier, you go to self-checkout, we haven't been laying off people. We redeploy maybe to a fresh department or another part of the store that maybe we didn't have in the past. So wellness is an example. We've introduced wellness sections in our stores, and that's new and innovative. You don't see it in many other retailers, and that's a proactive approach to healthcare, treating yourself well so you don't get ill. And those are the kinds of innovations I get pretty excited about. That said, I love technology. We're really proud of introducing in-store fulfillment, which is it's a click and collect program through our Sobeys stores in Atlantic Canada. It is the launch nationally, which is happening right here in Nova Scotia and will be introduced to other locations in Atlantic Canada. And it's truly state of the art. And we're excited that our customers here in Atlantic Canada will get to see that service first. The other innovation I want to talk about is a new store in Halifax, Nova Scotia on Mumford Road. That is the first store we launched in the country of our new format, and the innovations in that store are too many to mention. So very, very excited. It's a balance of technology and merchandising as well as marketing innovations that I think our customers are going to love. And rest assured, they're not replacing those wonderful people we have in our stores. It's just making the experience better. I would agree with you. It is a passion of mine. And of course, growing up in rural Nova Scotia, I felt excluded, like many people feel excluded. It really doesn't come down to culture and race sometimes. It's just a fact of the way things happen. But what I want to say and be clear about is the reason I'm passionate about this is because for the most part, I felt included. I saw the power for the impact on a family that came from overseas with no family, didn't know anybody, but the mere fact that they were included by their community made it a truly wonderful experience. My parents still live in the same town we came to in 1969. They would never live anywhere else. I'm so proud to call that my home. And it was the power of inclusion. And diversity, equity, and inclusion is a very, very important initiative, and I couldn't be more excited of the prominence it has. And I'm disappointed why we are putting so much focus on it because of these events, horrific events that have happened. But the reality is we are making change now. It's late, but we are making change now. And the inclusion part and the power that plays in us being a better community is just so important. And that's why it matters a lot to me. I've seen what it meant to me and my family, and I know how important it is for everyone. And the more we can do to be an inclusive society with a focus on diversity and equity, I know how meaningful that will be for us. So it really does pull at the heartstrings. I think that we're early, but we're on the right track. We got to keep listening and learning, and not for one moment think we have all the answers. But let's listen and learn and find the answers and take action. I really believe in the positive. I choose not to let those negative experiences define me, but I surely let those positive experiences define me. And I'm so pleased and proud that I can play a small role where I can, because it's so important. Unfortunately, I make a lot of mistakes, and hopefully I learn from them. The one mistake that I would focus on, I think, in certain situations, I was complacent. I assumed things would happen just because they had always happened that way. We could have a project and certain things have to take place, and I was complacent in thinking they just would. I just assumed that they just would, and you find out pretty quickly that's not always the case. And because of my lack of focus and my complacency, we had to go back and get things back on the right track, and that is inefficient. It's more work to correct something than it is to do it right from the first point in time. So I learned the hard way. You can't be complacent. You can't assume. You have to remain focused. And that learning was just so important to me as we went through COVID. Things were going, as I mentioned earlier, so quickly. There was so much we didn't know. The way things were evolving was not like anything I had ever seen. And we had to stay on top of everything. We couldn't just assume that our stores were getting what they needed. We couldn't assume that because we ordered PPE, it was just going to show up in stores. We couldn't assume that customers would clearly understand the social distancing protocols we were putting in place. We had to remain extremely diligent. We had to be relentless to make sure we communicated clearly. Just because we understood something, you can't ever for a moment assume that everybody really understands what you're trying to communicate. So we had to be relentless on that. We had to be just ruthless in that, ensuring complacency didn't set in anywhere in our organization. To me, that's one of my biggest fears, because I have been somebody who's made that mistake. So it resonates particularly with me. So that's a mistake I've made. I wish I could say I only made it once, but after third or fourth time, you get it, right? But it paid dividends to be able to learn from that, so that when we went through a crisis and a pandemic, you could use those learnings to hopefully do a better job and not let down those critical frontline workers and our customers.